I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm so excited that this is your first IG Live and it's with us. I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, and look, we have some Marlins folks. Jose Fernandez is on joining us, so that's huge.
Jose. Hi, Jose. You got a wave?
Oh my goodness! All right, Patty. So let's kick it off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so hi everyone. I am Patty Lora. I am born and raised in Miami. I'm Dominican, and I am passionate about all things marketing within sports, entertainment, and culture. And I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Elisa, for having me join your community here. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we are super excited to have you because, you know, I think that you have a great story, and I think that sharing it with the audience today is going to be very inspirational for everyone. So tell us, I know that you're super passionate about marketing and culture, but I want to start off by, how did you start off in sports?
Yeah, so although I'm born and raised here, I spent a lot of time in New York City, and I had a lot of great colleagues within my network, and they had worked for an agency based in New York. So when LeBron actually signed down here with the Miami Heat, they were able to really bring down business down here in Miami, and I was like all for it. I think I hounded them down for some opportunities, and that really exposed me. Yeah, that really exposed me to like just sports business outside of Miami, and that was really just how I started. LeBron did a lot of events here, and that was really I was a sponge. I pretty much wanted to be a part of everything at that time, and that was really how I got my foot in the door.
And when you say that you were reaching out to them, were they a marketing agency that was handling LeBron's activations in South Florida?
Yeah, they're a marketing agency based in New York City. And once I obviously social media helped, and once I saw that they were bringing down some opportunities here, I was just full force all with it. I worked for free. That's just kind of how I started. I was really passionate about just learning more about the agency side within sports. So that's pretty much how I started, like how I kicked off.
That's awesome. That's great. And tell us, what cool stuff did you do with the agency and LeBron?
So the agency, they had a lot of cool events within, for LeBron specifically, they did shoe drops. So they would, for instance, his 11s, they hosted an event at the 1111 garage down in Lincoln Road in Miami Beach. And that was just a full activations. There was even a charity part to it where they worked with local schools to get basketball teams over there. So I was just able to, be a sponge and really see how they, from ideation to execution. But that was probably like a 3-4 day process. But yeah, even the NBA All-Star game, they had Beats by Dre with LeBron, different just experiences that they wanted to give to the city on behalf of his name and his brand.
That's awesome. And Patty, based on your experience, to date, and specifically in the marketing space, what brands do you think are doing it right?
What brands do I think are doing it right? That's a good question. I would say, just jumping off from the Super Bowl, the first thing that comes to mind, I would say, was like Pepsi, how they still were able to activate in the way that they did, knowing that obviously we are in the middle of a pandemic, and they were still able to activate with The Weeknd, I believe, in a pretty authentic way that spoke to him and his history and The Weeknd's brand. So I think that was probably be one that is currently in a larger space that's doing it pretty well.
Yeah, that's great. And what did you think of this? This was interesting. Staying on the Super Bowl topic for a second. I saw a lot of social chatter in terms of people not appreciating brands having crowds in their commercials. What's your thought process there?
I mean, I could see that. I mean, we are in the middle of a pandemic. On the flip side, I do see why major brands were, felt like it was a political stance to have someone in their commercials wearing a mask. And I do think that there's just a little bit more depth to that. And I think, it makes sense for different brands and how they maneuver that. And I was following there's a few articles on it, on why different brands didn't go that route, as if we're not, in the middle of what we're going through. And there's just different interesting perspectives. I do wish at least one brand would have just jumped the gun and say like, hey, it's 2021 and this is where we're at. But it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when, I think that what we've seen a lot of is politics getting into sports. And I think that sports is supposed to be a safe haven for so many, of us, a distraction from real life. So anyway, we'll see. So tell us, what have you been up to these last few months?
Yeah, so I started consulting and working with different brands here in Miami that are much more, I guess, like fitness oriented. So that's what I've been up to. And then I actually took this opportunity, since remote learning is now a new norm, I took this opportunity to re-enroll back in school. So I've been busy. I've been busy like the rest of us.
Yeah, and what are you focusing on in school, Patty?
Advertising and PR. So pretty much what I've done, but from a collegiate, higher education point of view.
Yeah. And what are you looking to do once you get done with school?
I mean, I really want to work with brands that align with my own values. I want to be intentional with what I do. I also want to challenge myself and kind of work in a role that is much more creative than what I've done in the past. Although I love event producing, so I definitely am passionate about that. But I also want to see what's out there in the space of creative marketing.
Got it. And tell us a little bit about so you love event producing. Why? What do you love about that?
I always say this, and this is just between like me and my girlfriends. I mean, I'm Latina. I just think like Noche Buena, everything's a party. So event producing just kind of came natural to me. It was one of those things that like I didn't know I was good at until someone was just like, this is a career, when I was in college. So once I kind of like just dove into where the event industry was at that time, I was just like, oh, I could do this in my sleep. Event producing has always been a part of me. I could tell you stories and stories when I was a little girl, and that's just like what I did. So I think that part of it comes really natural to me.
Yeah, and you live like in the one city outside of New York that has like the hottest events.
Yes. Yeah. And I've been blessed to like, even from, you talk about Nike and LeBron, but I've been blessed to even work with like COVERGIRL and fitness, and then to Miami Music Week where it was all music and concerts. So I think Miami has obviously allowed me to have a different input in all those different spaces.
Yeah. So tell us what are the hottest events in Miami that you've been to or that you've been a part of?
I don't know. It depends what you define as hot, right? Yeah, I don't know. I would say I guess my introduction to event marketing, especially on a large scale, was definitely Miami Music Week and Ultra. So that was when I saw, and obviously those events require DJs and different things from people all over the world. So
Yeah.
I think, I have never worked Art Basel, but that's something I would love to do. And that is a different monster when you're talking about the event space and the event industry.
Yeah, that's actually, you must have read my mind, because I was going to ask about Art Basel and the activations of how they take over that city. Just how, they do an incredible job. So I can't imagine what the event production stuff looks like for them.
Oh, yeah, me either.
Right?
Me either. Yeah. I know it's a year-long process, and I'm excited to see, hopefully, obviously safely, with this year on how they readjust and redefine, like every other industry has revisited and how they're going to activate. I'm excited to see what Art Basel does and how much it does bring to the community of Miami, which I'm passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Patty, tell us, I know that there's annual boat shows in Miami. Yeah. Have you seen a decline just in terms of events coming to Miami because of the pandemic? Or have you seen companies and shows shifting how they do their events in Miami? I'm just curious from your perspective.
Yeah, I would say that they're shifting. I do think people are optimistic about events returning. I think it's just more about planning and strategizing to keep everyone safe. I don't really foresee any events getting fully, at least large scale, mid scale events getting fully canceled. Yeah, and especially since it is Miami, a lot of it is outside, which has gotten approval from, public affairs or CDC, things like that. So it's just going to be interesting to see how they continue to scale their businesses, making those adjustments to keep everyone safe when it comes to process and cost and staff and those different kind of things.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that the good thing about where you're at in the 305 is the fact that, it's warm weather and you're able to capitalize and take advantage of the outdoor space.
Yeah, for a long period, like all year round, right? So yeah. I would say, maybe not summertime because of the rain, but even that, there's still some pockets of opportunity. So I think that's the unique perspective, that if Miami's able to really define it, they could capitalize on the city.
Yeah, no, for sure. And from your perspective and based on everything that you have seen, what do you think brands need to do from an event perspective to keep their consumers engaged, during this time?
From a brand perspective and continue to stay engaged, I would say really be authentic to the times. I think the brands that have really just kind of spoken to what their audience is going through, whether good or bad, and just their experiences. I think those are the brands that people are going to remember, when things are quote unquote back to normal in 22 or 23, 20, whenever it happens. I think people are going to remember that. That brand spoke to me. So I think that would be number one.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I also think that the brands that are leading with empathy and compassion are definitely brands that are going to be remembered as well. So it'll be interesting. And now when you look ahead to 2022 and beyond, what would you like to be doing in either the marketing or the event space?
It's a good question, Elisa. I think there's a few things I would want to be doing. I would want to be some way, somehow impacting. I'm pretty passionate about Black and Latinas in entrepreneurship. So I think that's one way, that's one vehicle I want to pursue, and just kind of working on a way to advance equality within that space, within entrepreneurship.
Yes.
That would be one. And then two, I would say to continue creative marketing and event producing for like, again, like brands that align with my values, whether that's sports or anything outside of sports within the culture, society. I just kind of want to be able to practice those tools for brands that are doing what I agree with, what I love.
Yeah. So Patty, talk to us a little bit about your values. What brands align to your values today?
Brands that align with my values. There's from a smaller business scale. There's one called We All Grow Latina, who they pretty much are focusing on building resources for their community, which are all Latina women within business. I would say I really obviously appreciate the NBA and them being pioneers in what they're doing with just staying relevant to the culture. And to continue kind of that whole message with Black Lives Matter and social justice. I think, there's a lot of brands in that way. And I think I'm excited to even learn about, new brands coming up or new initiatives that larger brands are going to be releasing. Those are the two that come to mind.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So Patty, based on your career trajectory and experience to date, what would be the 3 career insights that you would share with our audience today?
Yay, this is my favorite part of your little talk show here, Alicia. So the first one I have is to show up every day as your full self. That to me, I think, we see a lot of advice on being authentic, and although we should be authentic, I would challenge people to go even deeper and really define, the parts of yourself that you love, the parts of yourself that you may not like so much, and even identify those parts that maybe other people don't like, and still embracing all those sides, I think gives you the power to kind of, move forward and propel you.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
Yeah. The second one I have is something a mentor told me a really long time ago, the take consistent inventory, which was really powerful. I do it probably every quarter. And what that kind of allows me to do is to pretty much identify what are the distractions that are happening in my life, what are, what's inspiring me, all those things change. So when I take consistent inventory, it really allows me to give language into where I'm at and then where I want to go.
I love that. Take consistent inventory.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your third one?
My third one's probably like the toughest lesson is don't shortchange your experience. That was the third one I have for you. I think people really cheat themselves when they skip the process. And I know it's way easier said than done. But there is really value in learning to love the process and learning to love practice. So I think when people kind of reframe their mindset, especially in this time when when you get a no or when you get rejected, just reframing that and being like, okay, I got this no, but it's just going to lead me to the place I need to go closer to my yes. So my third one would be don't shortchange your experience.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Yeah, and especially during these times, right? Where I think that one of the things that we're all learning is that rejection is redirection.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And having that mindset that even when I lose, even from a sports perspective of even when I get an L, even when I lose, I'm still winning, right? Because I'm pulling something out of that, or it's redirecting me, or I'm learning a new lesson that maybe is gonna, be even more valuable when I get to the place I'm supposed to go. So I think all that matters.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all have to. I think as long as we continue to have our eyes wide open, we'll definitely see all of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, first of all, I'm sure that you're seeing the little hearts blowing up on the side of the screen. But I'm even more excited because we have some Miami Marlin folks on here.
Oh,
so
hey.
Jose's on here. I saw Mello joined, Sergio, I think I just saw Travis.
Oh,
join.
hi, Travis.
I saw Matt join. So Patty, I think I'm gonna have you on maybe once a month just to see, you know, our Miami Marlins folks here. So I'm glad. Look at Travis. He said 2 of my favorites.
I just love that Travis is on social media. I mean, you know, that's the best.
I know, he was never on social media.
Nope.
He was so now with his 52 weeks of hustle and his book, I mean, he's all over, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, if anyone is in sales in this call, definitely check out Travis. 52 weeks of hustle.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Patty, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for your insights. It's been great chatting with you. And I'm so excited, again, that, you know, this was your first IG Live. So thank you for giving us that opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for watching, especially our peeps from the 305. And we'll see everyone here on Thursday for our next lunchtime conversation. Thanks, Patty.
Right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.